the lowest level. Of course, when you have a tornado warning, there will be the threat for flying debris. So you want to try to get as low as you can and try to protect your body from that debris, especially your head. You can always put on a helmet. You can grab a blanket or a mattress off of the bed if you're at home, whatever you need to do to try to stay safe from those very strong wind gusts. Of course, with the tornado threat, there's the potential for some very strong wind gusts. And even outside of the tornado threat, with our other storm, with that severe thunderstorm warning, we've got the potential for damaging straight line wind. That's wind that can knock down trees, power lines, do a lot of damage. So you certainly want to be taking this situation seriously. These storms did fire up pretty quickly, and it looks like we will have the threat for isolated showers and storms developing, and some of those could become severe. We've got a lot of moisture in place. We've got a lot of warmth, a lot of instability out there, and it's not going to take much for these storms to get going. They're certainly not going to be widespread today. We're expecting that threat to come tomorrow, but at this time, we do have a couple of cells out there that have become severe, and this one cell near Middlefield still showing some very strong wind inside of it. So as I mentioned, if you are outside and you're listening to this, you need to get indoors immediately. Try to get inside a sturdy building. Try to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Try to get to the most interior portion of the building that you're in. A hallway would be great. Usually a bathroom works. Try to just get low and try to protect yourself from any flying debris that we may have with this storm, if it indeed is producing a tornado. We do have indications on radar that a tornado is certainly possible. We haven't had any confirmation of an actual tornado, but we do have radar indicated rotation. So this is certainly still a dangerous situation, and you need to be taking your precautions, taking this seriously. I just want to go over the warnings again. We've still got the tornado warning for Ashtabula and Geauga counties until 2:45. We've got the severe thunderstorm warning for Cuyahoga, Lorain, Medina, and Summit counties until 3:15. Of course, with severe thunderstorm warnings, still very dangerous. We may not be talking about a tornado with the severe thunderstorm warning, but wind gusts could still be around 60 miles per hour. As I mentioned, that's wind strong enough to do quite a bit of damage. We could have power outages, we could have trees knocked down, and other forms of damage across the area. So we need to be taking both of these warnings very seriously. Brian?
Yeah, it's this storm near Berea, Strongsville. Looks like it is moving east-southeast. That'll head towards just north of Brunswick, near Brecksville into Richfield. And what we're noticing is this signature here where you start to see some of this what's called inflow, and that's an indication of rotation there. A strong storm that did pop up really quickly, and then we're seeing the same thing in the storm here just outside of Burton and Middlefield. Newcomb Road, State Avenue, Madison Road, Hosmer Road, County Road 38, Bundysburg. That's where this storm is headed now. We've seen on the radar this continually pop up with gusty winds, weaken the next scan, pop up with another bout of some gusty winds. Here, it was showing upwards of 70 to 80 miles per hour. The next scan, the latest scan, the rotation has weakened a little bit, still 40 miles per hour. We see that basically every other scan. So this is what's called pulsing. So same thing happened here where wind gusts were down to 60 miles per hour. The scan before that weakened at that point in time, but then very gusty when it was near Burton Station in Middlefield. So if you're in Bundysburg, this is moving southeast. If you're north of Nash Road, if you're east of Madison Road, that's where the strongest part of this storm is right now. And I know that it may not be raining heavy in that spot just yet. And you may be wondering why we're on. It's because of the wind gusts that are out of this, because of the, and you may not even be seeing lightning out of this storm. If we look at where the full structure of the storm is, it's actually much farther north than those spots that we're talking about. But the area of rotation, the area of strong winds, are southeast of here, and it's on the southwestern edge of this storm. It's for this spot here that's moving this direction as opposed to the bulk of this storm with all the heavy rain. Now there may be some small hail in some of those spots, but in terms of where you need to be inside, it's those areas there. Do we have a new tornado warning, or is that just
a continuation of the previous tornado warning for Geauga and Trumbull counties until 2:45.
Okay.
The storm was still capable of producing the tornado. It's still located near Middlefield, about 11 miles southeast of Chardon moving southeast at 25 miles per hour.
Okay, so it has sped up a little bit. It was moving at about 10, 15 miles per hour previous to that, but now it's sped up to about 25 miles per hour. So if we try and put a track on that, West Farmington, this is going to be on your doorstep here, and then Farmington at about 3 o'clock, but really Bundysburg, east of Maple Grove, north of Parkman, is going to be the immediate threat for the track of this. Along Madison Road, Hosmer Road, Nash Road, County Road 38, Main Market Road. Those are the spots that this path of this storm is heading towards right now. So you still have some time to get inside. If you know people that are going to be outside or are driving around in this area, you need to give them a call. Tell them to find a sturdy building. You don't want to be in your car in this storm. You want to find some shelter, be in the basement of your house at this point in time. We also have the severe thunderstorm warning for Cuyahoga County that goes until 3:15. We haven't seen as strong winds out of that storm as we have out of some of these other out of this storm here in Geauga County. They have trimmed back the warning for Ashtabula County, which was to be expected because it wasn't really impacting there, and it does look like it is going to move into Trumbull County here rather shortly, at least the area that we're watching for strong damaging winds. It definitely is enough to bring down trees and power lines. It's strong enough to pull shingles off of roof. As Ramisha said, potentially some debris, broken glass. So that's why you want to be in the interior part of your home. In a closet would be a good spot, but still make sure you have a way to listen to us, to watch us. Some potentially very gusty winds out of this. Not seeing as much rotation anymore, but still the potential for a straight line damaging winds. And in the end, if it's 60, 70, 80, 90 miles per hour, whether it's rotating or if it's straight line, it's still going to do the same amount of damage. The track of this is continued mainly south and east. It does go for about another 5 minutes. They did trim back Ashtabula County, so we'll see how this goes, because with the latest scan, as we have told you, it does seem as if this seems to weaken, strengthen, weaken, kind of on and off. The area of rotation was near Bundysburg. That looks like it has fallen out. If we go back a couple of scans, it was this spot here near Middlefield and Bundysburg, and then notice about 10 minutes later, we're not seeing much there anymore. But now we're still seeing some gusty wind near Parkman and Maple Grove there, where you see those bright greens. 60-mile-per-hour wind potentially up towards Middlefield. Still strong gusty winds at around 40 miles per hour. That's still enough to do some damage, but at least we are seeing some weakening. We'll have to see within the next scan, within the next round of radar rotation, if there is some strengthening again, because that does seem to be the case, that this weakens a little bit, then strengthens, then weakens. So at least right now, we're going to stay on for another couple of minutes until they do expire this to see if this continues to be rotation in this storm and the potential for damaging wind. But if you're in Parkman to Bundysburg, in between those two spots, anywhere from Main Market Road to Herner Corners, Nash Road, Madison Road, Hosmer Road, County Road 38, those are the spots that you need to be inside at this point in time if you're listening to us. I know for most of you, this is well away from you. You're maybe seeing some sunshine out there, but we need to make sure that these people are safe and that they're getting the coverage about it that they need. Still 50 to 60 mile per hour winds in Bundysburg there, and it does look like that's going to head towards Farmington. So once again, it weakened and then strengthened again. So there's where it was stronger, weakened a couple of scans, and now back up to potentially damaging winds. So there may be some breaks when the National Weather Service later tonight or tomorrow goes back and surveys some of the damage here. If there is damage, it does look like there's going to be some jumps in that damage where there would be tree lines down, where there would be potentially power lines down. But this storm definitely did strengthen very quickly. I'm going to zoom back out. We're going to go back and look at the severe thunderstorm warning in Cuyahoga County and also heading towards Summit County, Medina County. It doesn't look like that is showing that same structure that we were showing you earlier on, where you were seeing that rotation, where you were seeing that hook on that, and still some gusty wind there, but not nearly as damaging as the previous storm. 30 to 40 mile per hour wind out of that storm, and the hail potential There looks like there could be a little bit of hail potential there as well. So really just some heavy rain at this point in time, some frequent lightning in those spots. National Weather Service will continue the tornado warning. Looks like they extended it. Ramisha, are you seeing the same? Extending it until 3:30 for Geauga
Yes.
and Trumbull County. So they have extended this warning now. It was set to expire here in just a moment, but they've continued this tornado warning. There's the new warning. It does go out farther east. So now there's 2 warnings there. There's the one until 3:30, and here's the one until 2:45, which is set to expire here. Let's take off the lightning so you can get a better look at it. But when we see an area like this, the strongest
classic hook signature, and it looks like the National Weather Service agrees that this will likely hold together for at least 15 more minutes. So we are definitely going to be dealing with the threat for, the potential for a tornado in this area right around Middlefield. Once again, for another 15 to 30 minutes, we're going to be dealing with that threat for the potential for tornado producing damage. We could have very strong winds doing damage in this storm. So definitely you need to be seeking shelter, taking your tornado precautions. If you are outside, you need to get indoors quickly. We're now picking up winds around 126 miles per hour in this storm.
That was a few minutes ago. It was about 10 minutes ago. But you see how that weakened, that's what we were talking about. This does seem to be pulsing, popping up strength for one scan, then weakens the next scan. We go from 120 mile per hour wind one scan to the next one, radar showing 30, 40 mile per hour winds. So we want to stay with this, even though at times it does show areas of weakening. We have seen this pop up and strengthen several times now. It does look like at least a little bit the rotation is getting a little bit broader. What we look for is these areas of green and red that are close together. That's a signature of rotation. Another signature for that is you see this hook. It's not something that we typically get around here, these supercell storms, but you get rotation in this, and it's on the southwest side. So while the heaviest of the rain, the lightning, Bundaysburg to Mesopotamia, the area of concern for wind damage right now from a potential tornado would be Herner Corners, Farmington, moving into Trumbull County here. So northeast of Parkman, if you're east of Parkman, in between Herner Corners, Parkman, Farmington, and south of Bundaysburg, that's the area where there would be potential wind damage moving into Trumbull County, and that warning now going for another 45 minutes until 3:30. This was all along a system that was mainly to our north. There was a warm front to our north, and we started to get some cold air rushing in from those storms out over the lake. You may have felt that cold breeze earlier this afternoon. Now at this point in time, that has helped trigger some of these tornado warnings for us. We still have the severe thunderstorm warning for Cuyahoga, Medina, and Summit County that goes until 3:15. That's for the storm near Strongsville here. It does look like it's going to stay mainly north of Brunswick, head more towards Brecksville, Richfield, Bath Township, and eventually towards Hudson. We're not seeing, you can see the difference between the two.
I know, it's horrible.
The area that we're watching out for would be right here, and we're not seeing that same signature on the Strongsville storm that we are in the one that is moving out of Geauga County at this point in time. So this is almost out of our viewing area. This is moving into Trumbull County. And then at that point, that's more towards Youngstown, but there's still gusty, damaging winds out of this. It does look like it is weakening. Hopefully that continues to be the trend. It has been weaker for the last few scans here, the last few radar scans. It does look like it peaked within the last 10 minutes, right about there at about 60 miles per hour. But now as it has moved southeast, you see a lot more weakening out of it, and wind gusts aren't nearly as strong as what they were even 5-10 minutes ago, down to about 25 to 30 miles per hour. So hopefully that does continue to be the trend on this storm here. But we still have the severe thunderstorm warning for Cuyahoga County and for those areas. So here's the latest scan, same thing, now moving into Trumbull County, at least the strongest part of this storm. Now, another thing we have to worry about is the amount of rainfall out of these storms. So we may see some flooding in a couple of these spots. Let's highlight a couple of areas there. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we started to see some flooding. 1.2 inches in the last 3 hours, according to radar estimates, about an inch near Chardon, and that's because you can see the heavy rainfall there. We're expecting another round of severe weather for tomorrow, with those spots already seeing an inch to an inch and a half of rain today. And we see another potential quick inch to an inch and a half tomorrow. That could cause some flooding concerns. So there's going to be another round of storms for tomorrow. For the storm near Strongsville, looks like North Royalton, it will be in your neighborhood in about 10 minutes. Broadview Heights would move into your neighborhood in about 15, 20 minutes. This one moving east-southeast at about 17 miles per hour as well. The possibility for severe hail is fairly small. About an inch size hail, so that's roughly about a dime to nickel sized hail out of that storm, but not seeing.
Brian, I've got an update on some damage. This is around southern Strongsville between Boston Road and Howell Road. Estimated 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts and some small tree branches down. So we are getting first reports of some damage at this point, not tornado damage, but damage from straight line winds.
That would be the storm near Strongsville here. So it says southern Strongsville near Boston Road and Howell Road. So let's see if we can go back and see where that might have happened, where we saw 50-mile-per-hour winds out of this storm. Likely would have been right there, where we start to see some of these bright spots. There it is, 49 miles per hour, 50 miles per hour. So that caused tree damage. So if 50-mile-per-hour wind can bring down some trees and power lines, some tree branches, you can imagine what 70, 80-mile-per-hour winds can do in those spots in Geauga County that we're seeing that rotation, that we're seeing the strongest part of this storm. So this one is also still the potential to do damage. That's why the severe thunderstorm warning was issued. If there is the threat to life, property, then they're going to issue that warning. Along 71, it does look like it's getting a little gusty as well, but still not as strong as what it once was. But the same thing can happen in this one, where it really, you start to get a strong wind gust, a downburst as we call it, within a short amount of time, and then it weakens again.
Looks like Lorain County has been taken out of the severe thunderstorm warning, but it continues for Cuyahoga, Medina, and Summit counties until 3:15.
So they trimmed back the western edge of this as the storm has now moved. You can see that it's moved east of Strongsville. It's going to head really south of Brecksville, south of Richfield. And we have another storm that has fired up here west of Brunswick. Just some heavy rain out of that one. Not really seeing anything in terms of gusty wind out of that storm. But this is continuing south and east more towards Richfield. Broadview Heights, it will be there in about 15 minutes. Brecksville, about 15 to 20 minutes. And then Richfield at about 3:20. So you have a little while, you have some time before this storm moves in. Same thing with this one as the previous one. You want to be inside. You don't want to be out driving. If you know people who are travel for work, this storm's headed your way. It may not be raining at this point in time. You may just see the thunder and lightning off into the distance. Let's go back and take a look at this storm as it moves into Trumbull County, the one that was in Geauga County. Still seeing some weak rotation out of it. Looks like the wind speeds have picked up a little bit. One thing to keep in mind is this is a little bit higher up in the atmosphere that we're seeing these 48-mile-per-hour winds, because it's far away from the radar now at this point. The farther away from the radar you go, the higher up the radar scan gets. So with this storm, it definitely doesn't look like they're seeing rotation as much anymore, but potential for straight line wind damage, and that's about 40 to 50 miles per hour. So our attention at this point in time is going to be more towards Strongsville to Brunswick. I'm going to stay on for another couple of minutes, then we're going to get off. We'll potentially go on Facebook Live for you, get some updates for you on social media, but I don't want to stay on longer than I have to for the severe thunderstorm warning here, especially if we're not seeing damaging winds out of it any longer. But still some heavy rain, the heaviest of the rain right now near Bennett's Corner, just southwest of North Royalton. A lot of lightning with this storm. These are very strong. It's hot, it's humid. We have a cold front on the way for tomorrow, and that's going to give us a big temperature drop for tomorrow. That's why tomorrow also has that threat for severe weather. So it's going to stay mainly north of Hinckley, head more towards Richfield, and then eventually near Boston and Peninsula. But in terms of wind speeds on this one, this also does look like it is going to be weakening. So I'm going to sign off here for you, let you get back to programming, and we'll keep you updated. If we need to break in again, we will.